but it made it super difficult. So now we're doing this remotely, which is like the weirdest thing to me because it's usually like face to face sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not used to talking to you without cocktails.
That's the other thing. We're not getting a little sip of something. How's quarantine over there? I know that New York had it bad. I'm sure it's still bad. How's it going?
It's been pretty tough. New York's right out the window behind me. I've been through a lot of disasters and crises in this city, so it tends to respond pretty strong to it. But, obviously we got hit really hard. It's been scary. I've pretty much been inside for 6 weeks in my apartment.
Yeah.
Aside from a couple of small walks outside, that's pretty much been it. So it seems like it's getting better. Hospitalizations are down and we've got pretty strong state leadership, but it's going to be weird for a while. You can't really, there's only so much you can do with 8 million people on one tiny island.
It's insane. And what's crazy about this too is obviously that, New York being as big as it is also one of the leading everything, right? Any financial markets, you name it, like anything, fashion, it goes all the way through, entertainment, it goes all the way through. So the fact that it was that intense over there, it doesn't surprise anybody. The fact that you guys are gonna get through it, that's something that obviously nobody doubts, right? You guys have been through a ton. How long have you been in New York, and are you originally from there?
I've lived here for 26 years, and I grew up right outside of New York.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Where are you at right now? Are you at the office or?
No, I'm at home.
So
I've been stuck here the whole time.
So this is your view.
This is my home office view. Yeah.
This is your home office view. What awesome building is back there?
That's the Freedom Tower.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's the World Trade Center. Right.
That's where the wings are. I stayed at the Hilton right next to there, and I was.
Next time you can stay in this room. It's only my home office during quarantine. Is usually our second bedrooms.
Yeah. No, I know. You've invited me a couple of times, and I just obviously how it goes. I'm usually there for 24 hours, and I'm out. Yeah. Obviously with the way that everything is being shaped out, like the podcast gets affected in that situation too, and that sucks because obviously it's a traveling podcast. I like to have all these interviews in person, and I couldn't wait any longer. Not only because I'm running out of people to interview, but more importantly because you were supposed to be in my first 10 interviews because you had such a big impact in my life that I wanted to sort of get your story out because you are. As much as you're a front runner, as much as you're the face of the company, as you were with Sundance and MLG, you're also like the majority of your time is spent back, in the back hallways, making the infrastructure work for gamers all over the place to be able to make a living off of the thing that they did, or you did for now. I guess now you do that for businesses. Now you're still in the background behind the curtains, helping businesses thrive. So I guess we can start from the beginning. Sure. Well, first we'll start with the question that I like to ask everybody every single time. Who are you today?
Who am I?
Yeah. Who are you today?
Well, work-wise, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vindex, which is a new esports company that Sundance and I started with two partners, Brian Binder and Jason Garmice, who you guys in the esports world will learn more about soon. We are also through that back-end business with our buddy Adam Apicella at Esports Engine.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're building out a pretty big B2B business there to help, like you said, to help esports be successful. We have some consumer things coming too, and so it's sort of big, broad company to take on some of the bigger infrastructure challenges that esports has, since we've almost all been focused as an industry on the professional leagues and professional everything happening at the top level.
Yeah.
Hasn't been, and that's all growing rapidly. There's a lot of other stuff to do too. So that's what we're doing.
All right, cool.
And then otherwise I'm a New Yorker who's been stuck in my apartment for 6 weeks. So that's also who I am.
Texas, as I sit here on a Friday, the 1st of May at 3:20 p.m., they're opening up restaurants at 25% capacity. Like the wildest. So I have this thing where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let everybody who's been super anxious to get out there, and then in about a month I'll peek my head out and see it. Now I feel like I already have the antibody. I feel like I've already been struck with the coronavirus, but it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about who I'm in contact with that I don't want to infect. The last thing I would feel like shit if not even a family member, if somebody, a stranger, got it from me and he died, subsequently. So for me, like that's part number one. It's not I'm scared to get out there and get, like I said, I already think that I got it. It's more of a good citizen, conscious choice of caring for the next man or woman or child or old person.
No, you're dead on. And just, I can tell the esports and gaming community that you reach with the podcasts from New York. This is serious. This is no joke. Something like, I think at this point, 6 times the people that died in 9/11 right behind me have died from this coronavirus in the past 6 weeks here.
More people have died from the coronavirus than people.
6 times more people have died from the coronavirus than died in 9/11.
Oh.
Just in New York City.
Yeah, and I think it's more than the Americans that died in Vietnam too. So it's super crazy. All right, we'll talk a little bit more serious about that, but we're gonna bring it back to the beginning. Who were you then? Who were you when you first started your journey into esports? And obviously, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like you are a co-founder of esports. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things, of a span of its life cycle, right? Because you were there from the beginning. And what were you doing at the time? Like, how old were you? What drove you to say, you know what, there's something, like, who thinks that, right? Who thinks like, hey, there's a business behind kids playing against each other, and people are gonna watch them do it, right? Like, what? Yeah. Tell me about that, man. I'm super psyched to hear.
Sure. So I'll back up a little bit. In the late 90s, I had started a company with a colleague that was kind of a technology consulting and development business. Yeah. So we would help.
Your camera's shaking a little bit. Yeah. So just don't tap and do that. So that's I'll never tell you what to do ever again, obviously, unless it's take another shot.
I always take your advice as it relates to these kind of things. No, so late 90s, basically, I started a company with a colleague that I worked with. So prior to that, I worked in finance, colleague of mine, and I started a technology business kind of mid 90s as the internet was first taking off. And at the time, it was before broadband. It was still AOL dial-up and all those things. And the cable companies and telephone companies were just starting to roll out broadband. So our company kind of helped them create the first broadband experiences for people that would help them, sell broadband. And it was pretty successful. We designed a lot of the portals and systems and did a lot of early video testing and things like that. And Sundance and I were already friends. He joined as kind of the third amigo in that scenario. And so we built that business for several years. And then at one point in 2002, we had an opportunity. We had raised a little bit of money from some kind of cool strategic investors. And the business was going well all the way through the .com crash and 9/11 and all that kind of stuff, which is all crazy because we were based in New York City, obviously. And we were doing well. We were kind of getting tired of the business. There was a lot of travel to Europe. We were doing all this kind of stuff, and it was interesting, but wasn't our passion. So we had an opportunity to sort of buy everything out and make a little bit of money in the process and kind of do a slow and responsible shutdown of that business. And we did it, and we wound up with some money in our pocket for the first time in either of our lives. And so we took the summer off. Well, I don't want to say we took the summer off. We just stopped working. We didn't have a plan. And we stopped working, and so we did what normal guys do. I think we were maybe 28 at the time, something like that. Sundance and I don't know if anybody knows. Sundance and I are 6 weeks apart. We were born 6 weeks apart. He's the younger, stupider one. But no,
how did you guys meet?
That's a whole other podcast. But
we'll save it then.
Brief story was we met at a party, actually at the famous Chelsea Hotel, where I don't know if you know the stories at Chelsea Hotel, really famous place. We actually met. I think we were in the apartment where Jimi Hendrix used to live, but it's where like lots of famous people from the 60s live there. It's where Sid Vicious killed his girlfriend, Nancy Spungen, from the Sex Pistols. Really famous place in New York City. We met there at a big party. Save the rest for another thing.
Yes,
that's
please.
where we met.
All right, got it. How old were you guys when you? How old were you guys? Were you guys partying?
When we met, we were I don't know, 23, maybe something like that.
That's crazy. Okay. So.